What is up, family? Welcome back to another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host, and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker. Now, I'm really pumped up for today because we'll have to find out where, but this lady is from somewhere on this planet that is on the other side, so like complete opposite of us, and that's crazy to me that we can talk about things like this over the internet. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to learn from someone like this, but since she is on the other side of the world, we are pre-recording this episode. It is Monday morning or Monday afternoon now at 12:02 p.m. and I am really pumped up. So, with no further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Miss Jane herself. Hello,
Great.
Jane. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks, Jeff.
That is great. So, if you could, you can go through a short introduction about yourself. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do. I would absolutely love that.
Okay, so I'm actually British, officially based out of France, but for the past 5.5 months, I've been in Asia, in Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. I
Wow.
have actually just come back to France. So,
Wow.
and I'm a coach. So that means that wherever I have internet, I can coach people, and I love life.
That is amazing. Woo. All right. I know this is not on script or anything, but I'm curious, how is life in Asia compared to
Yeah,
the
it's
UK?
you have to be careful because I can wax lyrical about this subject. So in Asia, they have a lovely approach to life, whereas in the West, for instance, when we cross the road, we have this thing of it's dangerous, and therefore I have to be very careful, and I don't trust anyone. In Asia, if you can just imagine, there are no pedestrian crossings that anyone pays attention to. So you go to cross the road, and you do it in total trust. So as you start to go across the road, there'll be mopeds going behind you, mopeds swerving to go in front of you, and you're basically just meandering your way across the road. And it's very relaxed, Jeff. It's a much more relaxed way of life after you get used to it.
Wow.
And it's nice. And I love they can sleep so well. And I just love how much they care about other people and how it's much more community focused and a nice slower pace, which I think we lack here.
Yes, that sounds phenomenal. I would love to experience Asia in all its glory. But I know that we're on this show for a reason. And I know from my own personal experience of a car wreck when I was 17, spending 2.5 months in a coma and, no, excuse me, 3.5 in the hospital. I wasn't supposed to be walking right now, but I am. And I want to show people out there that everybody goes through something in life. And it's not what we see on social media. It's not the perfectness all the time. Life has its ups and has its downs. So, has there been any downs in your life?
Yes, actually, there have been quite a few, but I'll tell you about one specifically, otherwise, we'll be here forever. I had actually burnt out briefly twice before, And I thought I'd put everything in place to make sure that.
All right, hang on real quick. So I have to ask, what is burnout?
Okay, good question. Good question. So burnout officially is when your body is sending so many high alert signals to your adrenal glands that eventually you've been pumping so much cortisol and adrenaline that one day your body just goes stop and you cannot wake up anymore. And that's what happened to me. So this third time I burnt out, I didn't expect it. I'd got all the balance I thought right in my life, but looking back on it, I was ignoring lots and lots of signals.
Wow.
And one day I slept for 16 hours. And for the remaining 8 hours, I was unable to move. I just had to lie there and just exist. And that lasted for months. And what your experience sounds horrifying. And I'm going to be honest, I was terrified. I went to the doctor months after I originally had this problem because it took me ages to be able to move as far as the doctor's surgery. And when I got to the doctor's surgery, I said to him, please help me. And he said, I'm really sorry, but we've got nothing really. We don't know how to fix it. We don't know. We know what's wrong, but we haven't got a solution. And so I struggled, Jeff. I didn't know what to do. I changed bit by bit in the little bits where I had a tiny amount of energy. I tried to find out what was wrong. I tried to change my diet. I spent all of my savings. So now I'm not able to work and I'm getting through all of my savings.
Wow.
And you know why? It's because I thought I had to push on through. I thought that I couldn't slow down and I didn't make good decisions as a result of that. I was ill for over 10 years. So for heaven's sake, the rest of you, don't go there. If you're seeing signs of burnout, and when I say signs of burnout, it's things like it's a heaviness. It's a feeling where you're on edge all the time. It's a feeling where you wake up in the morning and your stomach sinks. It's a feeling also of, oh, I'm carrying so much weight around. So I'm not talking about body weight. It's heavy. It feels like I have to push. When will I ever be able to take a break? And this whole thing of have to, can't stop, have to push harder. And that whole thing, even to the point where you're probably snapping at people you care for. And then you give yourself a hard time. And all of these are symptoms. And if you ignore them, those symptoms are your body's way of going, watch out, there's something wrong here. And if you continue to ignore them, if you think, no, I just have to push on through, then one day, I'm hoping it won't be as dramatic as it was for me, but one day your cortisol levels will just shut down because your body cannot cope with so much cortisol going through its system, and therefore one day it just stops it.
Yeah. All right. Now, I have a couple questions about that. So, we all snap at people at times. It's just part of life that we just get to the point where we're just frustrated and we lash out. So how exactly can we recognize the difference between just lashing out and that being a sign of something more?
Yes. Okay. So it's a feeling it's really the feeling of heaviness. It's the feeling that you're having to push on through all the time. And a good analogy would be a car. So if you didn't put good fuel and you didn't put enough fuel into your car, you wouldn't be surprised if it started to not function or even stopped altogether. Okay, so if you feel that you've not got enough fuel to be able to keep on going in a way that it's fun, it's light, it feels like it's a fun challenge, and you're waking up in the morning excited about your days. If all that has gone, it's because you're not putting the right fuel in. And if you've got children, one of the ways, or people you love around you, one of the ways of telling is, if your loved ones started to live the way you're living because they followed your example, would you be pleased? Is that the example that you want? Is that what you want for them? Do you, like kids, for instance, they copy us. And if you're going, no, it would be far too intense. I'd hate to see that person pushing so hard. That's a sign that you are headed and you're too close.
Wow. That's crazy right there. That's one heck of an insight and a fantastic tip and a great analogy. But so I'm curious about something else. How did it make you feel when the doctor said they know what is wrong, but they have no idea how to treat it?
Desperate. Absolutely. I didn't have enough energy to feel too much. I just went back to bed and I just went back to sleep. But to be honest, I was lost and I didn't know what to do. You must have felt really like that. You must have thought, oh my, what on earth can I do now? Is that right, Jeff? I could imagine.
Yes, at times I was considerably overwhelmed, I would say, with things, just because everything that I had to relearn to do and everything that way to get back to where I wanted to be. But I found that having a support system and having the people around me that actually knew what they were doing truly helped me overcome that and grow through that situation. They helped me where I didn't have to go through that situation, but I was able to grow through that situation.
Yes. And actually, after a few years, my doctor told me that there was a group, and I think it was probably 6 or 7 years late, or maybe 5, 6 years. He told me that there was a group of people who had the same problem, and at a hospital. And so once a month, because we hadn't got the energy to go more often, we would go to the hospital, and that support group was great. But I noticed something interesting. Out of the 16 people in the group, a lot of them didn't fight. I was fighting because I just wasn't prepared to put up with it, and therefore I did grow through it. But I'm going to be honest, it's that hard to solve the problem of avoiding burnout. It might seem insurmountable, but in comparison to recovering from a bad burnout like I was, the bad burnout is huge in comparison to avoiding burnout. But for some reason, we're not told that. And it's a crying shame. So I'm hoping to get the word out, because I work with people who thought it wasn't possible to avoid the burnout. And in a matter of weeks, they're like, wow, why didn't I do this beforehand? And yet it took me years, Jeff, and it took you years as well. And I didn't have that support network, and it was terrifying. But what are you supposed to do about it? You either grow through it, or you give up and sit and you just can't ever continue your life. And I couldn't do that.
One of my main lessons that I like to bestow on people is that we can never, ever, ever, ever give up on ourselves, because if we give up where we are in the midst of something, that's where we will remain. Or worse, we will go to the other side. But
Absolutely.
I'm just saying that we should never give up on ourselves, because you never know what's around the next bend in your life.
Well, exactly. And I would almost say that people who are thinking that they have no choice but to work too hard and ignore their desire to slow down, and in other words, put their job ahead of their well-being, that is giving up on yourself. That is the ultimate of not believing in yourself. Because I agree that your boss is probably telling you need to work harder, and at home you might be struggling with admin challenges, you might have challenges at home as well, or you might have a family. And I'm not saying that the answers are simple, but it's your opportunity to believe in yourself. It's your opportunity to find the solution. And as I say, a lot of people who've spent years dragging themselves around so close to burning out, they come and they go, that was so much easier than I thought it was. And as a result, they're like, yay, look at me. I feel good at how I'm showing up now, because they are a great example for their families. And they wake up in the morning and they feel how they wanted to feel. And they get home at the end of the day. And you know what? They're proud. They're proud because they did good work, and they did it in a way that felt right. Now that is self-love. That is showing up for yourself.
That is amazing right there. But I can imagine people, because I know, like myself, when people used to talk about anxiety and having these problems with anxiety and anxiety holding them back in life, I used to like roll my eyes. I used to say that, like, I've never experienced anything like that. That's probably not true. But I learned, like, earlier this year or last year, sorry, when I had a problem with anxiety, and I had a really, really, really rough couple of months, and now I can see that, and I wouldn't roll my eyes at that. I wouldn't scoff at that, because I know it is a big deal. So what would you say to people that have never experienced burnout and they're rolling their eyes right now?
So the thing is, I think you roll your eyes if you feel misunderstood. So anxiety is a real emotion, and it's really important to be okay with our emotions. Our emotions are a really important part of who we are. So the anxiety I understand, and I think there's no point if you resist an emotion, it just persists. So that doesn't, so pushing it away doesn't work.
No, but let me explain a little differently. All right, so what if there are people like me that didn't understand burnout, that would treat it like, well, that's no big deal?
Okay. So, well, if they think it's no big deal, that's great. And I really hope that they have a real understanding of burnout. It's a little bit, I suspect though, Jeff, maybe have you never ever pushed yourself so hard that you've struggled to get out of bed in the morning? No?
Well, I pushed myself so hard that I've struggled to get out of bed, but that's because muscles and things are extremely sore and really tight and really painful. But I've never experienced the not being able to get out of bed because I had no energy.
Okay. Well, and you won't, and I hope you never ever do.
Me too.
So if you are full of energy other than the muscles, then you don't need to pay attention to this. This is for people who resonate. Who there's no point worrying about something if you haven't got the symptoms. But this is 48% of people in the Western world say that they are burning out every single year.
Wow.
And according to an article by Forbes, the end of last year, about a research project, 82% of the population are headed that way, because it's a mixture of high levels of constant stress and consistently pushing ourselves. And when you get those two together, what happens is the prefrontal cortex sends messages to the hypothalamus and the pituitary glands, and it's called a CPA axis, and it sends us out of a relaxed state into fight or flight, and we end up staying in fight or flight. And then your body's like, it thinks you're under threat, so it causes you to feel tense, it causes you to snap at people, it causes you, and it drains your energy. That stress, it's all alarm bells going off in your body. So Jeff, I'm overjoyed that you're not suffering with it, but a lot of people are.
Yeah, well, I feel sorry for those people, but I kind of see what you're saying now. It makes more sense to me, and I like that fact. I like being able to know what to watch out for. That's beneficial to me.
Okay.
So I have a question that I know wasn't on the script. Another question that wasn't on the script, I should say. So, what exactly does make every second count mean to you? I know you haven't heard my entire story, and you don't know a whole lot, but off the top of your head, what does that mean to you?
All right, means a hell of a lot now. I live every day. My friends say that I'm on the top of a wave, and that I'm actually they can't believe how much energy, which is incredible, where I've come from. And I do, like, for instance, I'm back in France now, which is where I'm based. And so it's no exciting Asia place, but seeing a crow, I saw a crow yesterday, and I was blown away by the magnificence and the beauty of all of its feathers. And have you ever considered how complicated something is with wings, and how magnificent it is that they can fly? Yeah. And then I saw a multitude of different birds of all different, when I say a multitude, probably 5, 6, 7, 8, and they were all different shapes and sizes. We live in an incredible, incredible world. And then the trees, I mean, these are sort of everyday things, and we just accept them. And yet I think they're miracles. The fact that something starts as a seed, and it takes some soil, and it takes some nutrients, and it takes some sun, and it takes some water, and you get a massive tree. And I love the beauty and the magnificence of life. And I love the fact that I love every single day of my life, and that even if I fall flat on my face because I'm doing adventurous things, that I actually am just alive. I'm really alive and living. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that actually answers it fantastically, because one of the new presentations that I have been working on is that we have to find awe in the simplest moments. We have to have things that'll take our breath away, because when we have that moment, like, wow, that's amazing, but that moment right there is a key to happiness. That moment is really going to stir up all that in your life, and it'll help you become more happy. And people don't understand that, but we need to look for the things out there that are beautiful. We need to stop looking for the problems, stop looking for the things that are going wrong in the world, and look for other things. Because Dr. Wayne Dyer even says it, that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now, I know that's going to sound like a play on words, but it's not. If you
No.
think about each word in that, it's like, wow, it opens your mind.
But we know that, don't we? Because you can look at the world, and if you're feeling low, then nothing seems very exciting. But if you actually get another day, you're in a happy place, you look at exactly the same things and you're just like, wow, look at the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
And what people, I don't think, realize is that you can train yourself to notice the majesty, to train yourself to notice, to just, for example, our bodies. I mean, these are trillions of cells walking around, and they all those muscles and those tendons and ligaments, and something so incredible that pulls them all together. And we take our bodies for granted, but every day your heart is beating in an incredible way, and all your cells, millions of cells, are dying every day so that you can be healthy. And all of imagine the 56 bones in your feet, and they're on all those tiny little muscles and tiny little tendons and tiny little ligaments, so that you can just walk as if it was the most normal thing in the world.
Yeah.
And our bodies are magnificent. We are magnificent. We are miracles walking around, and our bodies show us so much love every single day.
Wow. Yes. I want to thank you for, well, first of all, I want to thank you for that right there, because that right there really just, I loved it. But I also want to extend the thank you for taking time out of your evening to be here with me and my people. And I know it is 12:28 p.m. right now here, and it's not evening here, but it is there. That seems weird to me too, but I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me. It's been a really interesting conversation. Thank you, Jeff.
If all right, so let's say you have 20 seconds right now, and you could tell everybody one final thing, what would that be?
Choose to believe in yourself. Choose to give yourself love. If you actually start to treat yourself in a loving way, it will not only affect your life, but it will affect your whole, everyone around you, and you're going to feel so much happier.
That's great. So I need everybody out there, including you, Jane, to do. Oh, wait, one other thing I forgot to ask. Do you have any contact information you would like people to have?
Yes, I've sent some to you on Facebook. If they look at Jane.Bromley, Bromley spelled BROMLEY.90, then you'll see stories about my travels, and you'll also see posts that I think you'll find inspiring and helpful. So, and if you've got anything I can help you with, then just drop me a message. I'll be very happy to help.
That's great. So now back to my original thing that before I forgot to ask for contact information. I need everybody out there, including you, Jane, to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. I need you to make every second count. Why?
Yay. I'm really up for that.
Because you never know when the seconds will run out on your one life. I'll see you guys back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you again, Jane. You have a great evening.
Thanks, Jeff. Much appreciated.